Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. I got a question from a viewer at 2 a.m. this morning, and it kind of reaffirms that, belief that you don't get good phone calls or emails or text messages at 2 a.m. because they asked me a question, and if I answer this question, I'm going to piss off a lot of people. I'm probably going to have a lot of people unsub from my channel, etc. Leave snarky comments. But I thought, I haven't really pissed everybody off in probably a couple of days. So I might as well go ahead and answer the question because I did tell everybody, when you talk to me, I will honestly answer your questions. In fact, we do that every night in the live chat. We have a live chat every night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays and Wednesdays. If you want to come in and hear me answer any old thing, come on in. I will not hold back. I speak my mind. I think a lot of people know that. So there's a link in the upper corner. Come if you want to hear me say stupid stuff. But like I said, I answer questions if people ask them. I think I owe it to my viewers. And this viewer, what they asked me was Trump a good president when it comes to the Second Amendment? If you ignore everything else he did and whatever your partisan opinion is of everything else he did, what about the Second Amendment? Was he a good president when it came to gun rights in this country? Well, that's actually a harder question to answer than you might think. It depends on what you consider to be good for the Second Amendment. Are you actually talking about what's good for the Second Amendment community and the Second Amendment itself, or what's good for the gun industry? Because a lot of people look at Obama and say he was great for the gun industry because sales skyrocketed because of his anti-gun policies. The Second Amendment was always under attack, so gun sales went through the roof. Even the gun community on YouTube grew exponentially because of his policies. So a lot of people say he's actually good for the Second Amendment. I disagree. He was good for the industry, but not good for the Second Amendment. Same thing with Biden. He's good for the industry because he's constantly attacking the Second Amendment and acting like it's a second-class right, but he's really bad for the Second Amendment overall. Obama, Biden, both of them. Good for the industry, bad for the Second Amendment. Because what's good for the industry is most often the exact opposite of what's good for the actual Second Amendment and gun rights in general. Because they have to be under attack to drive up those sales. And Obama and Biden were good about that. Now, Obama did do some good things for the Second Amendment. You can carry a gun in a state park because of Obama administration. Now, I don't think Obama himself had much to do with that, but that was a positive. So even the darkest clouds have a silver lining sometimes. But to answer the question about whether Trump was good for the Second Amendment or not, you have to look at, was he good for the industry or was he good for the actual Second Amendment? Now, Trump did a couple of things while he was in office that were really bad when it comes to the Second Amendment. First off is when in one of the meetings, which was being recorded, he said, "Can't we just take guns away from people first and give them due process later?" That's not very pro-Second Amendment. That's not even pro-Constitution or pro-America. That was a really stupid thing to say, and that was very anti-Second Amendment. Now, it did help the industry because at that point, gun sales were really low, and that really did jack them up, helped them go up high, along with, a lot of the riots and stuff going on in the country at that time. So it was good for the industry right then and there, but that was not good for the Second Amendment. Now, did he mean that? Was that actually a threat to our rights? I don't think so. Because for one, it was so over the top, it would have never gotten any type of footing anywhere as far as legally. And also, I think he was just talking. Trump's one of those ones that goes into meetings and let's just everybody say every ridiculous thing we can think of and maybe we'll come up with a good idea. Much like I do in the live chats. Like I said, come watch me say things that are stupid. I say things all the time where I go, blah, blah, blah. And then I go, oh, no, wait, that's a stupid thing to say when I think about it. So I have a feeling that's kind of something like that. Now, they also, the Trump administration, did the bump stock ban. A lot of people think that's one of the worst things that the president could have done for the Second Amendment. Well, once again, I don't think Trump really understood that policy or had a big part in enacting it, but it was under his watch, so he's the one to blame for it. But here's the thing. A lot of people think that was horrible for the Second Amendment. I am kind of neutral on it. I think it's something that should never be done. No accessory, whatever for a firearm should ever be banned. No firearm should be banned. You should be able to have fully automatic rifles, so you wouldn't need a bump stock. But one of the reasons I'm neutral on it is because by kind of taking bump stocks off the table, I think he shifted the fight from fighting for things like bump stocks and pistol braces to trying to get rid of the NFA. It made people think, wow, if things like this are going to happen, maybe we just need to get rid of the NFA so that we can have whatever gun we want so that we wouldn't need bump stocks. So like I said, I understand when people are really upset about that, and I think it should not be, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. And here's another thing about Trump. When he first became president, gun sales dropped like a rock. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, that's bad for the Second Amendment. No, that's great for the Second Amendment. They dropped because people didn't feel like they were under threat all the time. They didn't feel like tomorrow the Democrats are going to push through an anti-gun bill to take away my rights. Well, usually when the Democrats are shoving this stuff through, it isn't to take away your rights. It's actually to increase gun sales because a lot of them have major stock holdings in gun companies and they make millions of dollars every time they scare you into thinking your rights are going away. Once again, what's good for industry and business, not good for your rights. And they're doing it for money. Trust me, a lot of them have, like I said, huge holdings in the gun industry. So it's like how these politicians who have money in the war machines, you know, the manufacturers of war equipment. Well, of course they want to go to war because they want to make more money. So it's like that with guns, except the Democrats have a lot of gun stocks. Republicans do too, so it's good for all of them. So they liked fighting over it because it's good for all their pocketbooks. But like I said, when he came in, people weren't afraid. That's good for the Second Amendment. When you feel comfortable, when you know, hey, the Second Amendment is absolute, it's not some secondary right, I don't have to worry. I don't have to go out and buy that gun that I was saving for next year today and not pay my rent simply because I don't think I'll be able to get it next year. You don't have to make decisions like that because you know it'll still be there next year. That's what's good for the Second Amendment. Now, Trump, I thought overall was good for the Second Amendment. He was pro-Second Amendment. He just sometimes said some stupid things. But when you look at the actual legislation he proposed, the bump stock thing is the worst one. And like I said, bump stocks shouldn't even exist because you should be able to have fully automatic rifles. I bet you if you asked Trump, should you be able to have fully automatic rifles, and you sat down in a room with him and explained it to him, he would at least be open to the idea that that's correct. You think Biden or Obama would do that? No, they wouldn't. Trump, I think, can be reasoned with. He's petulant. He is someone who speaks without thinking, but I think in the end, he was relatively reasonable. Now, I'm talking about the Trump that came to be president, not the Trump that there is now, who's just basically out to make a buck and play into the lowest common denominator, sending out 50 emails a day to get money, that. I'm not talking about this Trump. I'm not talking about the Trump that's trying to promote his social media platform or sell NFTs or whatever it is. I'm talking about the Trump that was president. While he was president, especially that first year or two, he would listen to either side. So I thought he was good for the Second Amendment, and I thought he could have been good for the Second Amendment. Unfortunately, so many people immediately refused to even listen to him or talk to him that he was forced to deal with the ones that would, which tend to be extremists on both sides. So he kind of drifted away from the middle. But like I said, no matter how you feel about his other policies, I hated some of his policies, I loved some of his policies. But when it came to the Second Amendment, he himself as a president, he said some stupid things that really did foster the industry and were bad for the Second Amendment. But overall, he wasn't constantly attacking our right. He supported the right. And therefore, I think Trump, when you look at it just as far as the Second Amendment was concerned, I think he was a good president for gun rights. All right, everybody, that is it for me today, or at least everybody that's still here that hasn't left. I hope everybody just actually listened to what I said and didn't immediately put on their partisan hats and throw a tantrum. But either way, I'm glad you came today. Thanks for showing up. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to see you again tomorrow. But until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.